protected areas, all protected areas, including the marine protected areas, are managed by the forest department. You may find it a little strange because in other places it may be in some other arrangement. But then I am here to talk about um, the conflict that we faced in a small marine protected area just north of Goa. I mean, down the southern part of Maharashtra, but just a little north of Goa. It's a place called Malvan, and the coastal area is called Sindhudurg. Anyway, you need not remember all these names. I will just explain. But we all know that the one recurring theme in the management of probably all marine protected areas in the world is a conflict with the local community. It occurs at some stage in the history of the management of the marine protected area. In our case, it happened quite early. We declared the marine protected area in 1987, and then it has remained in a state of suspended animation for about 25 years, or maybe more, little more. So in 2012, we started the UNDP project on mainstreaming of coastal and marine biodiversity into protection sectors. And when we started that, of course, it had a long history of conflict because people felt that they were not taken into confidence, and they were right. They were not taken into confidence when the park was declared, and it was the initiative of a few scientists who felt that the biodiversity is very important. So forget about fishing, let's declare this area as a park. But the local community was not game, and there were budding politicians who took advantage of it, and they have grown and become bigger politicians now in the 25 years history of that area. So all that is in the history. The major event that had happened was that there was a huge protest, and people took out that board and threw it in the sea. This board, the sign board announcing the marine protected area. It was thrown in the sea and it was forgotten. And then forest department also could not do much because the resistance was so much. Now in this project, this UNDP JEF project, what we are trying to do is, as I said, it is mainstreaming of coastal and marine biodiversity into protection sectors. And the important protection sectors in that area are agriculture, fishery, tourism, and of course forestry also. So in these sectors, we are trying to bring the biodiversity into the main focus. And in that process, the marine protected area issue also will come up, and the main focus is on livelihood. When the livelihood issues are taken care of, we believe that protected area management will become smoother and easier, and at least it will start happening. So far it has not happened, but I'm just talking about the interventions which we did. And one of the things which you find in that area is, as in many places, a lot of overfishing is happening in that area. Exploitation of fishery resources. We don't do targeted fishing, which is general fishing with a lot of trawlers operating, a lot of juvenile catches, a lot of incidental catches of marine species. So in the fishery sector, we were focusing on creating awareness about some of these issues. But we also found that this is not enough. We need to do something to enhance the livelihood opportunities of the people. And we found that the mangrove crabs, which are commonly known as the mud crabs. Earlier they were known as mud crabs, but scientists prefer calling them as mangrove crabs. Scilla serrata and Scilla olivaceae. Two species are there. So these species occur, they are widely harvested, and it's a good source of income for the local people. But the important thing is that they live in the mangrove areas. At least 50% of their life cycle is spent in the mangrove areas. So it makes sense to have these crabs cultivated. But then there was a big hurdle because the crablets are not available. There is no hatchery anywhere nearby. So we tied up with the Marine Products Export Development Authority, which is the premier government authority for export of marine products. And they had a hatchery way down in the southern part of the country. And from there, they brought the crablets by air, very glorified crablets, and they came and it was ceremoniously released in the different parts of the village, the coastal area. But once it has happened, there was also a lot of cohesion between the people who are working on this crab project, and that cohesion has helped in the making this program a huge success. And because of that, the income of these people has gone up really. In about 6 months' time, the crab can attain a weight of 600 to 700 grams, or even a kilogram. If you leave it like that, it can grow as big as this. I have some photographs which I am not able to share with you today, but it's as big as this and can grow up to 3.5 to 4 kilo. If people would have visited countries like China and Philippines, they know that. But the income potential is huge here, because each crab can fetch you about 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees is the kind of income that a person gets in a month. So from one crab, you can get that kind of income. And it doesn't cost you anything. You only need a HTP network around so that the crabs don't escape. They have to be, your captive crabs. So for that, the crablets had to be brought, for which we spent the funds from the UNDP project, and they were introduced in the mangrove areas. But the beauty of the thing is, mangroves are also there in the private areas in the country, in the state. 50% of the mangroves are in private areas. And private people consider mangroves as a big curse, because it doesn't allow them to do agriculture, and also it deprives them of their livelihood, because you can't do any construction there, you can't have tourist resorts, because a lot of legal restrictions are there. So they tend to consider it as a curse. And then they try ways to somehow control the flow of tidal water into the mangrove areas and somehow make these mangroves die. But when this crab was identified as a good potential source of income, they realized that yes, we must have mangroves, we must have more mangroves. And even in those areas where there are no mangroves, the private landowners came forward to us and asked us, let's have some mangroves in our land. Please plant it for us. This is like a real game changer, because people understood the value of mangroves. So it helps us in the conservation of mangroves, and it also helps us in the building of the confidence, and it also helps in the larger goal of making this marine protected area more efficient, or an efficient management unit. So that was the beginning, and it really led to a lot of confidence building. And after 1 year, when we held a conference of local people considering all the issues, there was a lot of heated debate in that conference. But at lunchtime, one of the leaders took me aside and said, we are with you, but I won't say it openly now, because my community is not convinced yet, but I am convinced I will be with you. And with that confidence, we move forward. So we have also thought of so many other alternative livelihood programs. But in doing that, we have also gained from the experiences of the previous projects in the country. Like we had several integrated coastal zone management projects funded by the World Bank, in which it was the primary philosophy was that there is overexploitation of fishery. So let's wean away the fishermen from fishing and let them give them on alternative employments. This alternative employment at first looks attractive for the fishermen, but then they are basically fishermen. They don't want to do anything else. You can't make them tailors and carpenters. It's not their job. So there was a lot of resistance from the fishing community, and also from the local activists in the fishing community, local civil society. And with that lesson, we are not promoting alternative livelihood. We are promoting supplementary livelihood. So we are finding jobs for them in the alternative tourism destinations we are trying to promote. There is a diving and scuba diving and snorkeling is coming up as a very good source of income for the people. So what we are planning is we have established a scuba diving institute there. It will impart training for the local community, especially women. There will be women diving instructors there, and they will provide guidance to the tourists who come there. There will be ornamental fishery, which will be a major livelihood activity for the fisherwomen of that area. So we are thinking of a number of programs with the primary aim of making this marine protected area an effective management unit. But we also heard criticism that this is old bottle in new wine and old wine in new bottle. We have somehow been able to convince the community now, and I always draw inspiration from the Maldives experience. I'm just finishing. from Maldives experience, when the Maldives waters was a shark hunting area. I mean, shark fishing was a very prominent economic activity in that area. But now they have declared that entire waters as a shark sanctuary. And fishermen now realize that one live shark is much more worthy than a dead shark.